Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. This is your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, Robert Meyer Burnett, and we are here.
Woo!
Well, thank you, Ray. For the Andor After Show, episode 4 of Andor, an episode I think blasts way into the stratosphere and into hyperspace with massive Star Wars goodness. But that's just me. We've got Kris Carr with us here, and Kris has other things to say. Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. That was a really great intro.
Did you like that intro?
Yeah, I loved it.
Was it powerful?
It was.
I
like this episode.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I have to say, I watched this episode twice, watch it back to back. I was so taken with it. I'm like, where has this Star Wars been since 1980? And I saw The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, this does, as of right now, feel like the kind of Star Wars storytelling that we've been missing for a very, very long time. You know, obviously, Mandalorian has been wildly successful, has had really great storytelling, but this is a Star Wars story that feels so important and so part of this universe while still having its own kind of new vibe. And I really, really love it so far. I really hope this sticks the landing.
You know, a lot of people talked about how the pacing of the first 3 episodes was slow. Well, then this episode I didn't feel that way. I like the unfolding of it, a very spy-like unfolding.
The endings were abrupt, but I didn't think the episodes were slow.
No. This episode, though, my God, there was so much Star Wars goodness, Star Wars world building.
Yeah.
I was so there for it. I mean, TIE fighters over what looked to be the Scottish Highlands. Somebody pointed that out on Twitter. I'm like, I was so there for that. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed watching TIE fighters scream over the tops of the mountains.
Ray thought they were dinosaurs.
So, first of all, I mean, the episode opens with, this is, by the way, a very spoilerific. If you haven't watched Andor episode 4, please don't
Get the hell
watch
out of
it.
here.
Yeah, go back and do yourself a favor and watch the show first. But I think that, it opens up Andor right when the 3rd episode left off. Stellan Skarsgård and Cassian Andor and Stellan Skarsgård. I can't not think of him as Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, but
Luthen, I need to get an action figure and get that straight. But immediately, their interaction in his starship was so great. I'm like, clean yourself up. You're bleeding on my ship. You know,
Yes.
I mean, and him explaining what they're going to do and saying, look, you don't have to do this, but you're gonna, and you should, and here's why. I mean, the dialogue is fantastic. This relationship between the two of them. He's not really a mentor. Well, you must learn the ways of the Force. He's like, bro, here's what you're going to do. You're going to make your life worth more. Wouldn't you just rather like die at one time for something incredible? And I mean, I was so into this exchange. And immediately, he explains, well, you're going to have a new identity and you're going to go work with these people that you don't know and it's going to be fine. And I mean, you're literally dropped right into this. We as the viewer are like Cassie, and we're like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to go do? So immediately, like, I'm in.
Oh, absolutely.
And then he meets up with a young lady that we don't know. And Luthen goes, is it Luthen?
I think it's just Luthen.
Luthen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Chad.
Yeah, Luthen, he's a purveyor of rare antiquities, apparently. He has a store. He's undercover at a store where he sells expensive. I mean,
it's amazing. Can we talk about his transformation?
Please.
Okay, because I love that he has a lace front wig, first of all. I love that he's got a fancy wig. It's wonderful. But the whole putting on the rings and then getting those mannerisms down of, hey, this is me right now. I'm this jovial guy. I'm a dealer of antiquities. Nothing shady going on here. I'm a man of high taste. Let's do some business together. I love that little transformation. And the fact that he does it without saying a word and it's just a flip of his wrist and a posing. It's so good.
And what's so great about it is, while you're watching this happen, you don't know why or what he's transforming into or what's going on. And what was so great is he didn't like walk past a sign that says Luthen's Rare Antiquities.
Yeah.
I mean, great storytelling allows the audience to figure things out for themselves. And then, of course, Mon Mothma rolls up in her Cadillac of the Sky in her awesome speeder, and gets out looking all regal to come in. And you think that, oh, he services imperial dignitaries to get close to them or whatever at first. Perhaps your husband would like this. And, well, he doesn't like weapons anymore. And I mean, all that. And then you find out they're working and they're in cahoots.
Yes.
I as a spy aficionado, as a John le Carré fan, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy,
Ooh, good
Smiley's People, I loved all this so much. I mean, this was delish. And then you counterpoint that, if this wasn't good enough, with the Empire. I mean, one of my favorite things in Star Wars, even when I was a kid, is when you first get to the Death Star and you're in the Imperial briefing room. You know, until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. I mean, that scene was great. You learn everything you need to know about the Empire. Clearly, Tony Gilroy ain't no dummy.
Oh, yeah.
So we get the Death Star scene, but we get it here.
Oh, and with such righteousness.
Oh, my God.
I mean, so smug, so right in what they're doing, right? Oh, we look for security threats and this kind of thing. No. We eradicate disease is what we do. And when he said that, I was just, oh, okay, there's the Empire.
That guy is awesome.
Oh my gosh, incredible.
I mean, he might be, not since Grand Moff Tarkin have we had an Imperial officer that I'm looking at this going, you know, Domhnall Gleeson, not to diss on anybody, but I never bought him as a First Order officer in the new sequel trilogy.
I always kind of likened him to somebody radicalized on the internet. That's how I felt about him was, okay, I see you.
That's a great way to put it. These guys are like, okay, no. Oh, once again, I'm thinking, we now return you to Star Wars, already in progress. This whole briefing scene and meeting all of these characters, our three characters that have interplay, our woman character, our young man about town, the not the world weird, the guy who knows everything, the black guy, I don't know his name.
Oh yeah,
and then
we got introduced to so many people.
And
in
then
this episode.
and then we have the older official that even has kind of Palpatine-esque hair. I love this guy.
Yeah.
And what he was saying, I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, this is delicious Star Wars Empire action. This is what I want. I love these like functionary imperial bureaucrats. I love these people.
Well, and right now too, we're not sure if they are just playing the game and being bureaucrats or if they're spies. Because there were certain moments too of, okay, is she trying to actually get to the bottom of something and put together this case? Is he stopping her because maybe he's helping the rebels? Is she helping the rebels? I don't trust anyone right now, and I love it.
I mean, all of this is like Tom Clancy. It was right out of like Clear and Present Danger when Ritter and Jack Ryan, when Harrison Ford and Ritter are going back and forth. You know, Ritter's a dick and won't let Harrison Ford get what he wants, and he's protecting his secrets. Yeah. I loved all this. It's so Tom Clancy. And that, then we cut back to Cassian meeting our female operative who's leading a strike force. We don't know exactly what they're going to do. We're going to figure it out. And then, of course, she has to pretend, oh, you were part of this all the time. Sure. She's pissed off about this. Like, I don't want to take some guy I don't know.
Well, and that also gives us another layer of Luthen calling Cassian disposable, which obviously everyone already knows the fate that Cassian's going to meet. We have Luthen say that once in here, you're going to die. You're going to die at their hands, so why not do it in a big way? And then we double down on it. The great thing about him is he's disposable. You don't have to care about this. You don't have to get to know him. Just use him.
I mean, all this was so great. And it felt so adult. I felt like I was watching, you know, a World War II suicide mission movie or something, which is what I wanted from this show. And God, man, I that's why I watched it twice. I love this so much. I'm like, where's this been all my life? And then, of course, we meet the rest of the team. We don't even know what they do yet. We don't know what their specialties are. We know what he has to be. He's there for backup. He's there to back everybody up. Apparently, he's a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
so
he's the understudy.
He's the understudy.
And no one likes him.
I mean, and then you find out they're like ripping off the payroll. They're like stealing money from the payroll. I mean, I love this. I love that because, of course, the Empire, they got to pay people. They have jobs. I love that that's what they're doing. They're pulling a payroll heist, and they basically have to steal a train and get the hell out of Dodge.
I love a train heist.
I mean, that's basically what I know. They had a space train heist in Solo, but this, I mean, they're going into it. Well, there's only 40 people. There's only 40 members of this garrison. I mean, everything about it, I loved it so much.
What I'm really interested in moving forward too is Luthen seems to have a real fixation on Jedi and Sith culture and artifacts. Because we have the Kyber crystals in the background, we have the holocrons and everything too. I think we saw gosh, I'm gonna butcher his name from Clone Wars. Plo Koon.
Plo Koon.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a breathing apparatus, much like that there too. Just so many of these things where I was watching going, wait, hold on. What is his deal, man?
I don't know what his deal is. Here's a Kyber crystal. This will get a lot of money for you on the open market.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if it wasn't awesome enough, Mon Mothma goes home.
To her shitty
Her
husband.
fucking douchebag husband.
Oh.
I mean, you think she's Mon effing Mothma.
Look at this.
What a smarmy F this guy is.
Why does everything have to be boring? Oh, good a job. I hate you.
I've got some friends coming over.
Who are friends with Palpatine? You little bitch. I've never hated someone so quickly.
I mean,
This is my Viserys, Roy. Right.
and the way, and you look at her, and what's really interesting is because I love the fact that they're humanizing. We've never seen Mon Mothma in without being Mon Mothma. Mm-hmm. And now she has this domestic life, because none of these, when you watch these epic franchise properties, you never think about people having a domestic life, because you always see them on missions. You already see them, they're being heroes. I mean, they have like Luke, he's a farmer, but then he leaves. But Mon Mothma has a douchebag husband. What a bold choice that was.
Yeah.
And you immediately understand her, like, she's probably putting up with this because she needs to hear things. Mm-hmm. She needs to have these dinners to see what information she can glean from them.
And just how measured she even has to be in her own home, of just, I can't believe you did this to me. Do not do this again. And then trying to regain herself and her composure, and then, okay, I guess I'm gonna have dinner with all these motherfuckers.
Yeah. And I have to say, by the end of this episode, and it had a pretty decent end point. Finally, it didn't feel like it had an end point. I'm like, okay, this, but when it ended, I was like, that's why I watch it again. I'm like, that was so satisfying to me. I mean, I've wanted to see a multi-layered, adult, mature Star Wars story for so long that isn't just reliant upon bounty hunters and stormtroopers and the Skywalker saga. I didn't realize how much I wanted to see what does it mean to exist within the Empire. And this was all about the Empire and the rebellion. This was all about people who are going to double cross and people who are going to achieve goals and subterfuge and who's bad, who's good, and who's in between. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love this so much.
Well, I think that's the most exciting thing, the moral ambiguity, the gray area of all of this, right? Because we have had so many moments in Star Wars where there is good and evil, and there is nothing in between. And when you go to the video games or where you go to the extended universe and everything, there is so much gray area. The Jedis do not make the right choice all the time. They make some horrific choices. We literally have gray Jedi, you know? And so I think the big thing with espionage is you have to explore that area of, you think you're doing things for the greater good, and that's going to hurt other people. And also, are you justifying what you're doing for doing it for the greater good? Because Luthen seems like somebody right now who he'll just do whatever it takes to get what he needs done.
And then our favorite disgraced cop.
Oh, yeah. Blue-eyed Ben Schwartz.
Goes home to meet mom. And again, with his tail tucked between his legs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and this was a great scene. I didn't have anything to do with this.
I loved that.
Well, the Empire's coming here and we're taking over. I mean, and you're seeing what happens. I mean, these poor cops are out of a job, and you know, the three of them are going to hate one. They're all going to hate him.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just,
there are little hand raises in that scene too, with the guy just doing that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really? No. And I love that, you know, Cyril apparently has an Italian mother, because she just slaps the shit out of him and then hugs him. I was like, oh, I feel seen in Star Wars. This is great.
I mean, all of this was, you know, I'm not going to say it's like House of the Dragon level, but in a way, the writing is nuanced. The character building is terrific. We're now seeing the different storylines that are going to play out. We've got different, and I'm really enjoying what is developing here and where I can see it all go. And to me, it just feels so different than anything that we've ever had before in Star Wars, even more so than Rogue One, because Rogue One was still the heroes versus the villains.
Yes.
And it didn't have time. Now we're seeing more slice of life in the Star Wars universe, which I didn't expect from this show.
Same.
I didn't expect that, and I'm so there for it. I love it so much because it humanizes these characters, and they're less for the Star Wars is all about archetypes, really. And while we've seen the humanity of these characters, like Luke being probably the most human, because we see him, he's a boy on a farm. But as we've moved through filmed Star Wars, everyone is sort of an archetype. You're either the gunfighter, Boba Fett is he's the mysterious stranger in a way. But this, we've never seen these kinds of the humanization of these characters, and it's working really well for me.
It is. I'm a kind of for a Rogue One person, I think it's fine. I'm finding that this is making me so invested in the character, and I'm so excited at the end of this season to then go watch Rogue One and have all of this with me and go, oh, okay, and see how this informs my viewing now. Because I've been so invested in this. I
mean, what's really interesting is Rogue One is the 2-hour climax of this story that we're watching, and knowing that, but yet being so invested and so interested in, I'm like, why can't I have the 2 more episodes right now?
Yeah. Update me on what's happening to Bix.
Oh, man.
I need to know. Is she okay?
Can I bring up something that really stood out to me during this episode? During the first 3 episodes, the music really stood out to me, but during this last episode last night, the architecture really stood out to me. Let me see if I could bring up a couple.
Well, just seeing Coruscant. I mean,
yeah,
all this stuff was so. How cool is this?
Yeah.
All the different architecture, and it was just really
and again,
interesting.
All of these different sets, all of these different locations. It feels more Star Wars than even in the prequel trilogy. So much of the environments were blue screen.
Yes.
And you could tell. This stuff, the fact that it's real, gives it an authenticity and a feel that we haven't seen in Star Wars in a very long time.
Absolutely. And having this be a tactile environment too adds to the opulence of it. And so when you have lines harkening back to the last episode of, they're so fat and greedy, you see that opulence here in their homes, in their stores, in their bureaucratic offices.
Yes.
And I love that detail.
I loved it. That's very astute. And I think that's what is taking this quickly to being my favorite Star Wars thing since Empire Strikes Back.
It's getting up there for me. I'm a big old Mando fan, but boy, this is fun.
I mean, but this is, Mando is almost an entirely different kind of a show than this is.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, is they can coexist and add, we can lean into what we saw in Clone Wars and Rebels over there in Mandalorian, but this is giving us something new.
Exactly. And it's doing the Visions thing, right? It can be Star Wars, but it could be, a fun, campy rock musical. It can be Star Wars, and it can be about a samurai. It can be Star Wars, and you could do horror in the Star Wars universe so easily.
Yes.
And I don't understand why we haven't been playing in the sandbox that way. So
I think it took somebody like Tony Gilroy to propose or have to do a show like this, and thank God they're letting him do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, now that we've waxed rhapsodic about this show, we want to know what you are going to say. And of course, we will come back after this word from our sponsor.
We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of this video, Stamps.com. Guys, I know it feels early, but Christmas really is right around the corner. And if you've got a lot of stuff to send to family this year, you got to start thinking ahead. And if you're a small business owner, you know how important it is to be ready for the insane holiday season. Stamps.com has everything you need to make your life a whole lot easier. It's the 24/7 post office that you can access from anywhere. No lines, no traffic, no hassle. Get access to the USPS and UPS services that you need to run your business right from your computer. Protect your margins with major discounts from USPS and UPS rates up to 86% off. All you need is a computer and a printer. We all know that rates are always changing, but with Stamps.com's Switch and Save feature, you can easily compare carriers and rates so you know that you're getting the best deal every single time. And if you're running an online store, Stamps.com works seamlessly with all the major shopping carts and marketplaces. So get ahead of the holiday season chaos this year. Get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with the promo code Campea for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts required. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code Campea.
And a big thanks to Stamps.com for sponsoring this Andor After Show. Well, Kris, now we're going to find out what our viewers have to say.
Yay!
Are we wrong? Are we wrong in our assessment? We're about to find out.
The internet will always let us know. All right, this comes from Bert. We finally got to see a Gestapo-like entity in the Imperial Security Bureau. Mon Mothma's partner had the same aesthetics as Galen Erso in Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, again, I loved all that. I mean, because this is what the Empire is. You know, the Empire is not just people that are on the Death Star or Star Destroyers. They're in every city and in every town, running their little fiefdoms as they try and curry favor with the higher ups. I mean, they're all sniveling, hateful people. But I really do like how they're nuanced, sniveling, hateful people.
Yeah, agreed.
I thought it was great. What's next?
From Eric Grant, who sends in an almost $20 super chat.
Thank you, Eric.
I love this show. Easily the most immersive Star Wars thing I've experienced in a long time. This episode had me enthralled from beginning to end and left me wanting more. The Mon Mothma stuff, the ISB stuff, all pure gold.
Well, Eric, I can't disagree with you there. I mean, as you heard us saying, again, all the world building, everything that came out of someone's mouth was adding to the tapestry that is the Star Wars universe. I mean, even seeing Luthen's spaceship.
Yes.
I'm like, I want a model of that.
Oh, that
you know,
thing
that
was
looked like a
dope.
Star Wars spaceship that I want to put on my shelf. You know, where's my 1/48 scale model of that?
I agree. And you know what I really like about this too, and you're more familiar with all of this, Rob, but you know, every time I talk to somebody about the novelizations that go with
Right.
Star Wars, right? That may or may not be canon, however you view things. I feel like that's what we're getting here whenever someone will say, oh, Kris, you don't know about this character. Here's their whole backstory. And they give me this whole big thing. I feel like that's what we're getting from this show is, oh, there's all the great footnotes that I didn't get from seeing them, you know, pop up in Clone Wars or pop up in Rogue One. And I love the details they're giving everyone.
I do too. I mean, they're really doing deep dives into these characters, and I'm so there for it. It's so cool. And like Eric said, every part of this episode was just gold to me.
Oh, yeah. Fried gold.
So good.
From Sam Fisher, Stellan is stealing the show for me. Hell yeah, he is.
And as well he should.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a great A-list actor, you know, one of the, well, maybe not A-list, but one of the great character actors working today.
Oh my gosh, so incredible.
His presence and the way he just, you know, he'd been so stern, and then when he turns into this like antiques fop selling with his hair and, well, welcome, what can I get you?
Well,
I mean,
and it makes it that much more jarring too when Mon Mothma's, you know, talking about, well, I'm risking my neck and everything, and it's just kind of this so what attitude, and he drops that facade. Whew, it's kind of chilling.
no, it was just great. And you know, again, it's like peels an onion.
Yes.
You peel the layers. Who's working for whom?
It all goes back to Shrek.
It all goes back to Shrek.
Yeah.
Everything does go back to Shrek. All right.
From Stubble McShave. Interesting that Mon Mothma's hubby wasn't clued in because he's a dick.
Well, that was the best part. I
Really
mean,
lean into that one.
all he cares about is what he cares about.
Yeah.
Him and his friends.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that maybe one day there was love between them, but that day was long past.
He seems very new money,
Yes.
you know?
That's what he
very,
is.
very new money.
He's like Tom in Succession.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Great comparison.
What a douche.
Sam Fisher. I really liked the Major, especially in that scene where he tells the lieutenant why they brought her over from enforcement into security.
Oh, so good. I mean, again, the way these officers are written, you know, because Peter Cushing, Governor Tarkin's the greatest. He's my favorite Imperial
So
officer,
great.
and now I really like Krennic in Rogue One too. He was terrific. But seeing this guy, this kind of mid-level functionary who thinks he's the coolest dude in the universe, I mean, it was great. And then that underling talking about it, all of this was so good.
Oh, yeah. I just love how political the ISB is. I love it so much.
So political.
Ugh.
And like, what I want to know, where do these people think they're going to go? What's if they get promoted? Is it going to be that good?
Just I feel like the end goal too is just being among Vader and everyone, right? So it's like, oh man, one day I'm gonna possibly get choked out by Vader. Yes. Like, is everyone okay over there? Are you all right? Double McShave. Nice length episode. I hope they stay this long.
It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Or something. I thought it was great. And
Great
you know
length.
what? It felt fulfilling when it was over and like, okay, we're going to go to work or whatever. I'm like, that was a great fulfilling episode of Disney TV.
I do still feel the closing moments are a little odd,
Yeah.
but this one didn't feel as abrupt as the other three. You know, at least we had that kind of, this is what's going to happen tomorrow. Cassian sitting there eating his meal. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's also, I've been conditioned by Star Wars for closing scenes to kind of pan back up to space.
Right.
You know? So maybe that's why they feel awkward to me sometimes.
Yeah, no, it was great. So great.
From Sam Fisher. Increased construction.
Sorry, we're at this one.
Oh, sorry. Hoser Mayas. Rakata and Starkiller armor are back on canon. Yes.
Oh yeah. The way they're just dropping all this canon stuff throughout the show, it's awesome.
I need to go back and rewatch it because I kept seeing things and going, wait, I know, wait, that.
It's great.
It's blowing my mind. Okay, now we're on Sam Fisher. Increased construction to Scarif. Stairs in Death Star.
Yeah. I mean, fantastic.
Well, because we referenced that planet too, and then we referenced Alphon like 6 or something, and then that planet's version 7 is where we found Grogu and stuff. There's a whole bunch of things they drop in this episode.
They're just rapid fire dropping gold. So good.
Daniel Baccarat. This show is just so well shot. Skarsgård continues to crush it. It is the best shot Disney Plus show. I agree with people who say it's more like an HBO show. The ISB and the Empire felt like the Star Wars books.
I totally agree. I mean, that's one of the great things about this. To be out on location on craggy rock peaks, and again, hiding from whether you've got a base where you're cooking your food, living in huts in the hills, or crouching down as TIE fighters scream across. Being in those locations are spectacular.
Oh yeah,
and it does feel like a Lord of the Rings or an HBO show, just because it looks. There's nothing that I don't want to watch another Star Wars show shot in the volume stages. I mean, you go back and you look at Kenobi, and it's like, yeesh.
Yeah, and to get away from desert, to get away from Tatooine is really, really lovely because it's a vast universe. And to see all these different types of planets, to ping pong back between Coruscant and where we are here with Cassian, I mean, it's so vastly different. And that's what's so cool about Star Wars is just seeing those different environments.
And even on Coruscant, all we ever saw was the Jedi Temple and where the Jedi or these people live. Or
sometimes a traffic jam.
Sometimes a traffic jam. But now we're like, it's someone's apartment, mom's apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good. What's next?
From Joe Adonis, AK-47s on Star Wars? Okay, I thought it was just a placeholder in the trailers. Has there been other bullet-type guns in Star Wars?
Well, actually not all, but most of the weapons in Star Wars, whether it's Han Solo's blaster, all of those were modified real firearms.
Oh.
For the most part. So it doesn't surprise me that they're leaning into that aesthetic.
I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Another really cool thing about the weapons in like the modern Star Wars is they're bringing in a lot of the stuff from the video games. I played a lot of the Battlefront games, and in the latest shows, I've noticed that like the newest weapons they're using are from the video game. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Very
that's
cool.
Rad. From Sam Fisher, quarterly payroll for an entire Imperial sector. That must be billions, if not trillions, of credits.
It's more wealth than I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oof.
I mean, but that's a great, I don't know why I thought that was so great that they're stealing payroll.
I think it's just something that we've overlooked so much in Star Wars, right? Because it constantly is, construction plans or, battle operative kind of things.
Yeah.
That's what we focused on. And how do you hurt a empire in the wallet? That's what you do. You hit them with their money.
It's funny because everyone's always criticized, taxations to outlying systems is in dispute, from the beginning of Phantom Menace. Oh, great, it's about a tax problem. But they lean into that. They've now turned this economic system against the Empire in such a way that, oh, okay, this is a problem. This is a monetary problem. No longer will people be joking about outlying or trade disputes.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to use that money for to fund for their rebellion too?
Yeah, they're going to fund their rebellion because they have to buy equipment and pay people off, and I can't wait.
Yeah. From David Ullman, love everything about the show. I wish Obi-Wan Kenobi had the same kind of treatment. Same.
I think we all do.
I still liked that show, even though it was kind of frustrating. Oh, it was very frustrating for me.
Well, you know what I think? This show shows a fundamental philosophical approach, I think, to Star Wars in the sense that, and I hate to say it because I don't want to bring this up, but I'm going to, Star Trek as well.
What?
I mean, when you have this kind of writing, when people, I've always said that the best way to approach a franchise is take the franchise-ness out of it. Write me a great spy show.
Yeah.
And then if you want to set a spy show in the Star Wars universe we'll take care of that later. Come up with a great spy show that has a great plot and great characters then we'll bring Star Wars into it. The problem is these shows are all written to be the reverse. Well, we're going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, so we have to put all these things from Star Wars into it. And it's like, no. Do what George Lucas did. Take Kurosawa. Take a samurai movie. Take the Hidden Fortress, or Joseph Campbell's hero's journey story, and then craft a story around that. But now, because we've got the Star Wars of it all, people forget that it shouldn't be a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It should be a story about a man who has been disgraced, who's in hiding, and then forget the Star Wars-ness of it. Come up with a great story, and that's what they've done here. If this was not a Star Wars movie, and it took place in its own unique universe, it would be still compelling.
Absolutely. I'm getting some like Usual Suspects, but in Star Wars a little bit.
Yes.
That's what I want. I want that kind of high stuff.
Yes.
Just, with medical gog and stuff like that.
All right, what's next?
This is how I imagine Ewan McGregor watching from the distance, wishing he had a good show.
Oh.
From Stubble McShave, Skarsgård was awesome. He played his parts well.
Oh, that's another thing. I mean, what was so great was the juxtaposition, how he was able to just jump in. I wonder if we're going to see him take on another guy's.
Ooh.
Like, because I'm like, I wanted him to be the man of, or in He-Man terms, man-y faces.
Ooh.
I would like to see him, but maybe that's
That'd be pretty rad. Well, we've got a second season at least.
It's
so
true.
Might have to
I
dawn on
hope
some
he
other
doesn't die.
personas. I hope not.
I know.
From David Ullman, Luthen's store is the store of Easter eggs. I think I spied Django's armor suit, and please tell me you saw that Sam Witwer's character suit from Force Unleashed.
I thought that's kind of what it was.
See, I just need to go through there frame by frame because I kept seeing stuff and.
But that's the way to do fan service right.
Exactly.
You have a great plot reason to have this stuff in one place, and then, like you were pointing out, he's got an affinity for the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Which is a tip-off. Maybe that'll be his weakness.
Yeah. And what a great example, too, of showing instead of telling. If you have all these holocrons and these kyber crystals and everything, you don't have to say to me, by the way, I'm very fascinated by Jedi culture.
Yeah, no.
You just showed me. So much better.
So good. What's next?
From A-Rod 2006, Andor has easily some of the best dialogue that Star Wars has ever done. Stellan Skarsgård's Luthen Rael just chews up every scene he's in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's what is missing too. It's Star Wars should have the best writing because it's Star Wars, and now we're getting it.
I mean, to be fair, even OG Star Wars, right, has not always had the best.
No.
dialogue.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's become. Back then, it wasn't Star Wars yet.
That's true.
Star Wars was a one-off, but Empire solidified the fact, and it gave us a lot more. It elevated what was essentially a fairy tale and cemented the Star Wars universe, and then it went from there.
Yeah.
But now we're in a position where Star Wars should be the gold standard of this kind of franchise filmmaking.
For sure.
So.
Well, from Stubble McShave, I wish Mothma's driver was called Manny.
Hey, Manny Bothans. What can I say?
Season 2, baby.
I would like to see Manny Bothans be, Mon Mothma's lover because her husband's such a douche. I'll accept that mantle.
Oh my gosh, it's so big of you. That's so
Thank you.
kind. Wow, what a giver.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
From Tim Platt, Deputy Uptight has to eventually redeem himself and end up working for the Empire, right?
Or does he?
I was going to say.
Are we going to see him come to the other side?
Does this make him even more, convicted in what the Empire does? Is he out for vengeance now against Cassian Andor? Or, yeah, it totally could be a redemption story, especially because now we know he's just a boy who loves his mom and wanted to do a good job and wear a nice tailored outfit.
I mean, I am curious to see where this is going to go. Mm-hmm. Is he going to become a Darth Vader-like character, a draconian leader in the Empire, or is he going to be somebody that actually finds his way into the rebellion?
That would be really cool.
Maybe he goes undercover and that's his way of redemption. He's not interested. He becomes the ultimate double agent. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be rad. We'll see. From Jason A, tiny nitpick. I don't like that the Rebel rifles look like AKs. I get that we're evoking modern guerrillas, but it takes me out of the fantasy.
Well, again, I mean, that's fair, but I would say that, a lot of the Star Wars weapons that exist are based, or they use their basis is real firearms from our world. Mm-hmm. But I can understand that if it looks too much, they're redressed, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did look very similar to that. But
I totally understand the criticism. I also, though, to your point of this being a more grown-up story, it does add that layer of realism of, oh, that's a weapon that doesn't stun.
right.
That there's we can't set our phasers.
Yes.
That kills people. So
Right.
I'm wondering if that was
Good
part of the
point.
choice. What else? J Master. In Luthen's place, there was a reference to Hera Syndulla.
Syndulla.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Calicori artifact, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, and Starkiller.
Yeah.
Who's the Syndulla? What is that?
I'm drawing a blank on that.
Okay. My Star Wars knowledge is mostly cartoons and the movies.
But that's, I mean, I think that was what they gave. You know, it's funny because Tony Gilroy said we're gonna have no fan service. I wonder if like the production design team just put that all in there.
I mean, maybe.
I mean,
well, and I think that's the way to do it, though, too, right? Like you were saying before, you pop those Easter eggs in, but it's not this whole, hey, look what we have.
Right.
Do you see the thing? Oh my gosh, it's R2-D2. Did it blow your mind?
There's one Easter egg that no one's pointed out yet. I don't know if this is true or not, but I found online on Twitter, people were saying that this right here is supposed to be Indiana Jones's whip, frozen in carbonite. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Oh, that'd
Could
be a fun little detail.
I mean,
I don't know how I got there,
maybe.
but that's fun if production was just like, you know what we're going to do? Boop. I like that. Chris Retzlaff. So many stars from Game of Thrones and Chernobyl. If Jared Harris shows up, I'll lose it.
Oh, I mean,
That'd be so good.
yeah. How great it is, because a lot of the Game of Thrones characters, you know, are in this show.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jared Harris is going to be in it, but if he was, that'd be awesome.
I was going to say, he's made for the Star Wars universe, though. How has that not happened yet?
Well, because he's in Foundation,
That's true.
so.
Jared. Ismail Montoya.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. I'm ecstatic for a new glimpse at the Empire, but still get to see the corrupt societies that exist within Coruscant.
I agree. You know, the rich are corrupt everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, I want to see the seedy underbelly.
Yeah.
We've seen the very pristine, opulent part of this. Now I want the underground, underhanded deeds.
I want to see somebody who's selling death sticks.
Ooh.
Got it. That's, you know,
That's fun,
you got to have death sticks.
obviously. From J Master, the TIE fighters actually gave me a scare jump and fear. It sounded like a sound out of a horror movie with a super loud noise in the mountains.
Oh, it was great. I mean, that's one of the greatest sounds that Star Wars ever gave us, was
So
the sound of TIE
iconic.
fighters.
Yes.
Because nothing else sounds like that.
Well, and to have it going over that, you know, Scottish landscape too was just so rad.
The best.
Oh.
Loved it. So good. What's next?
From Alfie 8, my favorite scene was Mon Mothma and her husband, especially with the mention of Palpatine's close allies from the prequels being invited to the dinner.
Yeah,
Made me filled with anxiety.
Yeah, and it just, again, it's teeing up what I expect to be a great scene. You know,
Just the worst dinner party of all time.
and what is said.
Yeah.
You know, and what are they all going to look like? Are there aliens amongst them? You know, I don't know. Are we going to see? Or is Newt Gunray going to show up?
I really
No, I'm just kidding. He's already dead.
I would love for this to have the kind of tension level that we got in Inglourious Bastards, right? I want it to be that kind of moment of just sitting around a table and sussing everyone up and seeing who's on what side. And I hope people just pull their blasters out then.
Oh, yeah. I love that. You mean like in the bar, the underground?
Yeah. The 3 versus the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Oh.
So good. What's next?
From Callum Locke, Coruscant Spaceport was shot in my work, McLaren, Florida.
Wow.
Is that where F1?
No, McLaren is Formula One.
Formula One, excuse me.
So that's what they would build. They would build the Formula One cars.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was like, in Florida? Why were they there?
McLaren Florida One. It's okay.
I know a lot about Avatar, you guys. That's why I'm on the show. That's why Sean keeps me. I don't know anything about anything else. Okay. Tim Platt. Love seeing this side of the rebellion. Action is great, but sometimes I like seeing a story cook in the crock pot while it gets nice and juicy.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
You know, we are getting a heady, frothy stew of spicy goodness. I can't wait to see where it all bubbles over, because it's going to bubble over.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's great.
From James Argenta, is Mom recruit Leia?
Yes.
I think is Mon Mothma recruiting Leia.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I mean, that'll be interesting.
who's Mom?
I wonder, do we know that Jimmy Smits, I mean, is the Organa family going to be in here? I don't know. I guess
I
they
hope
might
not.
be.
Maybe.
I mean, that would, to me, that would be too fan servicey.
I think so.
Tony Gilroy's, I don't want to see those characters.
No.
I really don't. I mean, maybe in the second season, but why?
Yeah. I think you could even just do a mention, a hologram. Please have it be Carrie's daughter, Billy, instead of doing a deep fake again.
Yeah.
If we do see her.
I mean, I could see Bale showing up in this.
Oh, for sure.
I think
Yeah.
I
think
would.
we're going to hold out on that, though. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
From Empire Fan 1980, we now know why the Empire lost. They're too busy fighting each other and not taking the rebels seriously.
Well, there's no real rebels yet. I mean, the rebels, I think that if you think about what they're pulling off, this payroll, that's going to buy a lot of X-Wings. And we really are seeing the proliferation. I mean, they're making a move here that's going to solidify their power base and allow them to at least buy the kinds of, I mean, they've been scurrying around in hobbit holes at this point.
Yeah.
They don't, I don't think what we're watching, because it's 5 years before Rogue One. We are watching, I think, over this 5-year period of time, the birth of this rebellion. And I think this heist, when they get this money, it's going to go a long way toward making them serious. They're going to be able to get more people involved. And that's what I like about what we're seeing, I think. And it makes sense.
I agree. I think it's streamlining the rebellion because, Cassian mentions 6 other kind of rebel groups.
Right.
And then they're all the same to me. And I'm sure those will all
they're
kind
like
of fit
biker
together.
gangs.
Yeah.
They don't have any real entrenched power base until they combine.
Exactly. Like Voltron.
They're cells.
Or
They're
like
like terror cells.
They're terror
like terror
cells.
cells.
They need a Cyrus
That's more
from
apt
the
than
Warriors.
Voltron, probably.
Oh,
But
there you
maybe.
go.
From Mickey Bell, Rob said it best. This was indeed delicious. Exactly what I said when the episode ended. I loved all of this.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, just because there's so much meat on these bones that you can just bite into, and it's just delish when you and every scene.
On barbecue.
There was
Say, is this because it's the rib day over at the barbecue place?
this wasn't, but there wasn't one scene in this that I'm like, oh, we're talking to these people. Every scene was pushing the plot forward, and you're learning something new, and it was just so interesting.
There was no B or C plot drag.
No.
Which was really, really cool. They're balancing all this out very nicely.
And they're giving you things you never saw in Star Wars before, like Mon Mothma's relationship with her husband.
That
We've
piece
never
of
seen
shit.
anything like that before.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait.
From Frost 1977, was Indiana J's whip in Carbonite, an antique store? Apparently, yes.
But
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah, I mean, if that's what that is, okay. That's the kind of thing I don't like.
Yeah.
But then again, it harks all the way back. I mean, there's Star Wars, R2 and 3PO show up on the Ark of the Covenant, in the hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
So Club Obi-Wan
I always feel
in
like that's
Temple of Doom.
That's like what they do in Pixar movies, right? Of and right over here, you can see that is Woody.
Yeah, and Disney's done that for a long time. Like, they've used Captain Nemo's organ from the old 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in different movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's hidden Mickeys all over the place.
Absolutely.
So I can appreciate it. But yeah, I'm not like, oh my gosh, it's canon that Indiana Jones goes to space. From Cinema Reviews. Anyone else get some minor Blade Runner vibes?
Well, I think anytime you see a sci-fi city with speeders flying through the air, you get a Blade Runner feel to it.
Yeah.
So, but it's not raining, and it's a little bright, and there's daylight because there's like never daylight in Blade Runner.
No,
I would
everything's
love to
very
hear
dark.
some of those musical cues that Nya, nya.
Stop that right now. What's
From
next?
Dance Production. I love Andor. The way they're not focusing on nostalgia and only focus on characters is why I love it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a story that feels very adult. It feels very unique, and I think it's what we've always wanted to get from Star Wars. I really
think so.
do.
Yeah. From Arjan Athwell. I felt less love for Star Wars after the last 2 shows. Andor is making me love Star Wars again. I can't wait for the dinner scene next week. Ooh,
I know.
yeah.
Who would have thought that we were waiting for a dinner scene in Star Wars?
Not since The Office have I anticipated a dinner scene.
Or not
so
since
much.
Vader said we would be honored if
yeah.
you would join us in Empire. But yeah, man.
And I completely understand kind of being turned off from Star Wars from the last 2 shows that we've had. It's not been firing on all cylinders. We haven't been able to stick the landing. And that's true of pretty much all of the Disney Plus shows right now. So it's hopefully going to continue on this trek and really stick the landing.
I mean, can you imagine seeing a if the Kenobi series was done with this level of storytelling.
I wish it had been.
Me too.
Ugh. From Lars Lobson, I was thinking about with the security guard when he said 12 guys or 14, like he didn't count him and the other guy as the same level as the rest. No, because he says 2 officers.
Right.
There are 12 expendable men.
Right.
There are 2 officers.
Yeah. And it's just those little details that give you great insight into what these characters are thinking. Mm-hmm. Very good stuff. What's next?
From Mod Awesome. There we go. It was great seeing Micro from Punisher back.
The actor?
I guess. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, it's so funny because, I'm like the Maester from Game of Thrones.
The guy from The Bear.
Oh, right.
Ebon.
Right.
I love him. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's so many great actors here. Like, oh, it's this guy from. It's so good because they're in England.
Well, Ebon is from America, Massachusetts boy.
Probably working in England.
Oh, well, yeah.
So all these guys, that's what's so great is that you just get to see all these British actors that are. It's good stuff.
I know. From Tim Platt, don't forget about Ryloth.
Ryloth.
Hashtag for a free Ryloth. Hashtag Syndulla.
Yeah, so we're getting into lore that I can't keep it all straight. But yes, I won't forget about Ryloth. Free Ryloth. Syndulla.
Syndulla was like, that was in like Rebel.
Yeah, the Twi'lek, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Argent Athwell, in just one episode, Andor made the Empire truly intimidating once again. Incredibly impressive, especially when it's done through dialogue.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, the Empire's scary. These people are scary. They will kill you. They will torture you. They will torture each other. I mean, that's what we needed.
Yeah.
And I think that and again, in Rogue One, in giving us Krennic, these guys are competent though. They're not incompetents. They're all like, they're scary. And I think that's really important. I think that's what this show needed to do, was make us realize why the Empire was in fact formidable.
Exactly, because I think we often make the joke about how bad stormtroopers are actually hitting a target and everything, and you need to see the real threat and how this was something that could permeate through the entire galaxy.
And I think that we're going to see this with this garrison, that they are going to be, they're not expecting this kind of an attack, but I bet they're not going to be pushovers either.
Yeah,
because that would ruin the verisimilitude.
It would. And you are the verisimilitude.
I am the verisimilitude. That's right.
From Fangblaze71, main Empire guy in the meeting room looks like he wants to kill Robb Stark.
And indeed he does.
You are correct, my friend. Gosh, she's so good on the show.
So good.
Jane Master, Andor final episode 12 is on November 23rd. Then a few days later, on November 30th, we get Disney Plus Willow series with a 2-episode premiere. Hell yeah!
That's exciting. I mean, again, I'm looking forward. I want this Willow series to be as good as Dark Crystal was.
Yes, I'm still heartbroken about that.
I am too. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see.
Same here. Oof. From Alfie8, would love to see what Imperial Naboo looks like. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see that, but that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Or would they even let the Empire take over Naboo? I mean, I guess they would. Palpatine might want to keep it nice though, because he could protect Naboo.
Yeah.
I mean, he might want to keep his home planet.
I mean, just from a logistics standpoint, though, the palace is at Lake Como in Italy, which is gorgeous. And, Imperial folks over there, you are going to keep it pristine, I think. You're not going to yuck up Lake Como.
Yeah, no. No.
That one would end up being a soundstage if you wanted to, destroy it.
But it is going to be, I would find it, if the Empire had taken over Naboo, it would, again, be interesting to see how that civilization had changed. Mm-hmm. With the Gungans and the rest of the...
Oh, that'd be really cool. I'd be very fascinated to see how that all played out and everything.
I mean, I wonder if the Empire stole Gungan technology to use throughout the Empire.
Ooh,
I mean, stuff like that could be
really rad.
Very interesting.
Oh, my mom and we celebrated our birthday in Italy together, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Padme's palace. And she could not give a shit. She was just like, we're in Italy, you nerd. Why are you like this?
Because we're here, Mom.
I loved it. I was so happy.
We're on Naboo.
Kris, as the most talented voice actress that I know, can you please do a Gungan voice for us really quick?
Like a Misa? One of those?
Yes.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Wow. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Dance Productions. The sequel trilogy should have been like Andor.
I completely agree. I mean, if you had the problem is, I honestly believe that from a creative standpoint, you need creators to have an approach in their mind already. The problem is everybody thinks, whether it's superheroes, whether it's Star Trek, whether it's Star Wars, if you're not going to assume that these things are sophisticated, and it's up to the creators to bring this level of sophistication, and that's what Tony Gilroy did. And by the way, his brother Dan Gilroy, who directed Nightcrawler, wrote this. I think he wrote this episode. Either wrote or directed it. I think. Oh, he didn't direct it. I think he wrote it.
Okay.
So we're getting a level of sophistication here that no one's tried to bring to Star Wars, and look at how well it's working out.
It's working really well. I hope it keeps up. From J Master, I keep butchering the name. Sorry, Hera Syndulla is from Dave Filoni's series Star Wars Rebels, which I haven't finished. I've only seen like the first 2 episodes of Rebels.
Oh, well,
it gets better.
It does.
It gets better.
It's good. I like Rebels.
All right, cool. From Spencer Smothers, Sandman Act 3 was released today. Today is a good day.
Yes, the audiobook. The third audiobook, and the Sandman audiobooks are over 10 hours long.
Excellent.
So
okay. Fun.
And that's it.
That's it for us. Awesome. Thanks so much, you guys.
Wow, that was a quick show.
That
seemed
was.
like, my gosh.
We boogied.
We did boogie. Well, I think that everyone, this show is obviously shaping up to be the kind of Star Wars show that we all wanted. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's great to be able to do these after shows with you. And it's a lot of fun because I really like the fact that we can celebrate something. I mean, I am jazzed about this show, and I feel, like BB Besh said in Star Trek II, I feel young, like when the world was new.
Aw.
I mean, I feel like I'm 10 years old watching Star Wars again.
I always feel that way about you, Rob.
Oh, well, that's good.
Just a big kid.
I'm happy about that.
It is really nice, though, to talk about Star Wars in a very positive way because, we haven't been super jazzed with the things we've gotten recently. And that shouldn't dissuade us from still loving Star Wars.
That's right.
We should always give it a chance. And I'm so glad that this is really, really delivering so far.
Really. And we will be here. This is only a third of the way through the series.
Yeah.
Or a third? Yeah, a third, because we've got a third of the way. This is episode 4 of 12. Yeah. So we will be here every week. I want to thank everybody for generously giving us, through Super Chats, giving us great stuff to talk to and supporting the show while you did it. We want to hear from you. Talk about everything you loved about the show or didn't in the comments below. I think the comments, I love the comments on our show. So
yeah, they're usually really, really sweet.
Great to have all the people there.
We appreciate it.
I want to thank Jonathan Voico for producing this show.
Yeah.
I want to thank Taylor for also producing this show. Yay. And I want to thank Ray Ora for moral support and laughing at our jokes. And I most of all want to thank you, our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and join us here next week for Andor episode 5 and that dinner party. Are we going to get it? What do you think?
Oh, I think we're going to get the dinner party, and it's going to be uncomfortable in the best way.
I just can't wait to see what they serve for dinner.
Ooh.
And on that note, may the Force be with you.
Always.